shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45 coming to you, your internet shooting companion. Coming to you from the deep woods of Middle Tennessee. Yes, the land of, well, lately it's a land of snow and cold, I guess you could say, primarily. Glad to be back and chatting with you again. This is Broadcast 5. We're still on the air. The sponsors have not taken us off the air yet. They're still continuing to pay for the airtime. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's not the way it works, is it? Okay, I don't have any sponsors. Oh, okay, forgot. Anyway, that sounds like something a real radio person would say, correct? This week, we have a few things on the agenda we're going to talk about. As you might guess, if you don't have anything to talk about on our radio show, you're in trouble. We have an interview with 10 Outdoors 9, as promised last week. Weren't sure which week would grab him, but you'll hear from 10 Outdoors 9 in a little bit, with some information on how he got into shooting and his history with firearms, his plans on his channel, and hopefully some interesting information there for you. So we'll talk to him. We might take a little break from the political issues this week. The main thing is to keep your elected leaders informed and reminded that you're out there. We are out here and we vote. And we encourage them quite often not to vote away our rights, based on some emotional pleas from an extreme minority, possibly very heartfelt emotions, with good reason perhaps. We do have tragedies occasionally that occur, but we can't base our Constitution on anecdotal events, just that simple. No matter how sad, how tragic, we've seen that in other countries, the freedoms that are limited or eliminated based on that. So many people base their lives on anecdotal evidence, and I think you know what that means. You just can't do that, especially our government cannot afford to do that. I'm sure if we looked up the history and the records of, say, the most reliable car on the road, whatever that might be, and I have no idea what it is, but say the car with the best service record, fewest problems on the planet, I guarantee you I could find some horrible tragedy that has occurred because of some failure within that car's engine or braking system, where a family was tragically killed. I could write that up. I could write a speech. I could cause a room full of people to maybe never even consider buying that car, or at least a great speaker could, correct? Just pull at those heartstrings and talk about that. So, it's just the way it is. But a lot of people do base their lives on anecdotal evidence and little stories, sad stories, emotional stories. So anyway, be sure you're keeping your elected officials informed. Going to talk about guns I own. I think I will get to that this week. I think I've teased you a little bit, not that it's any great story, but we'll talk to you a little bit about a couple of guns I've owned, the Browning High Power CZ75 briefly, and let's see what else. Might have a funny story. You never can guarantee I get to these things I talk about, can you? Yeah, very unprofessional of me. You probably ought to quit listening. I am so unprofessional. But I've got a funny story I want to tell if I have time this week. I don't go too long. Let's see, what else? I might give you my take on buying cheap guns. Okay? So be tuned for that one. Not sure what I'm going to say about it, but I have some thoughts on that. Hopefully it'll come out right. A little comment maybe on Top Shots, and who knows what else I'll blab about. So anyway, that's kind of where it's going to go this week. So I hope you stay tuned and you listen to what I might have to say. Since Top Shots is in the news and on TV, of course, now, I'm getting a lot of questions about that, and I did address that briefly in my vlog, 22, most recent vlog I put up. I can't say a lot about that. Most of you know by now that I had some communications with them and just could not work that out from my end. to my satisfaction, for a lot of reasons that are they're very, very legitimate. But anyway, just believe me on that one. Anyway, I watched the first episode, recorded that, and watched it. Yeah, some interesting stuff there. It's a reality show. You know, I still have a hard time seeing myself fit into that. I was watching those people interviewed saying how they were going to destroy everybody in the house and all that kind of thing. And, you know, I was thinking, okay, now if I were sitting there and they asked me about that, I would probably have been very boring, because I would have just said, well, you know, I always shoot the best I can. You know, when I take it seriously, I can shoot pretty well sometimes, and that's what I will do. I'll take it very seriously and shoot the very best I can. And if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. But I'll definitely be shooting my very best, and chips will fall where they may, you know, that sort of thing. And that would not have made good TV, would it? Probably. Yeah, you got to come up with something like, I'm going to kill these folks. They don't have a chance with me in the house on Hickok45. But anyway, I'd make bad TV. But anyway, it's kind of fun, and I look forward to watching it. You know, the reality show format is kind of a phenomenon, isn't it? And I guess it's kind of what we do, since we just do real-time videos in some ways, although you probably don't get enough drama from us. We'll have to create some of that. John and I will have to get into arguments maybe in some of our videos, or, you know, talk about 10 Outdoors 9, or, you know, we'll get some kind of some gossip drama stuff going on there maybe for you. But anyway, we all know who the top shots are. That's pretty much been determined. There are some pretty good shots on those shows, really good shots, actually. But of course, when we start talking about the top shots, you know, the only names that come to my mind are, you know, Jerry Mukulek, Rob Latham, Todd Jarrett, and all those guys. There's some new people out there. I don't keep up with it as much. I heard Tom Gresham interview him. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I think he'd won the last 2 or 3 national champs or something, or open champs, international, I don't know. But anyway, we know who the top shots are, because all you do is follow the major competitions. It's not a big problem. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And interesting show. Probably not my cup of tea, but I am going to watch that. And anyway, that's about all I had to say about top shots, I guess. Just wanted to mention that. Before we bring on 10 Outdoors 9, I want to talk about another topic, and that is buying cheap guns. Now, I want to be careful how I address this. I don't mean to offend anybody. I don't want to sound elitist. Okay? So if I come off that way, please excuse me. I apologize. I've had people message me on this topic too, who you know, kind of take the same I guess perspective I do. If you cannot afford a Glock or a SIG or an H&K or a XD, an M&P, and you're looking for a defensive firearm, you know, by all means, find the cheapest gun you can find that will probably shoot. You know, that goes without saying. If you cannot afford a better gun, you know, now we all buy cars that we can afford, and houses we can afford, and that sort of thing. Well, all of us don't. Some of us buy things we cannot afford, I guess. Anyway, what I want to caution people about is, as the great professor and wise old sage, I guess I sound like. But really, I'm going to base this on my experience, because I've bought so many guns, and then over the years, since I was in my teens, and then been sorry I bought it, you know, and ended up trading up a month later, 6 months later, 2 weeks later, trade up to something I really wanted. You know, we've all been through a lot of that. And what I think is that sometimes people looking around for guns, they don't, maybe, let's take person A, thinking about getting a gun, doesn't have a high income at all, can, you know, put away whatever, I don't know, $50 a week or something for something like that. And they see, wow, these guns are expensive. They go into gun shops and they're thinking of a Glock or M&P or something, and because they like the looks of those, and I know some people that have them, and just had no idea of quality gun costs $500 or $6 or $4 or $7, whatever. They thought, you know, well, surely $175 would buy a really nice pistol. How expensive can they be? And they realize, oh my gosh, $400, $500, $600? And so then they lay eyes on some models that are $200, $225 or something. And I won't mention names. Well, those guns might work okay, but you know the categories we're talking about. And if that's all a person can afford, by all means, you ought to have one. Or something else. I'm kind of focusing on handguns. I would lean towards buying a cheap shotgun. That's what I would do for home defense if you cannot afford a quality pistol. And, or, well, I don't know, that gets into another area. But as in terms of what is the best home defense firearm, so I'm not getting into that right now. My main point here is, how many people, I could sum this up probably in one question, how many people have settled for a $200 pistol because it's all they can afford, quote unquote, when they also have 6 or 7 other junk guns lying around the house? And whatever else, I don't want to sound like a socialist, but where else are they spending their money? They have 3 refrigerators full of expensive beer. I don't know. You know what I'm getting at there. But yet they cannot afford, quote unquote, a quality gun. So I guess I'm really talking about the people who actually could afford a better gun, but they think they can't, or they're not willing to spend $400 or $500 on a firearm, and they grab the $200 gun. Now, a $200 gun might serve them quite fine, quite well, for whatever their intended purpose is. But I just want to caution folks, if you're in that category, and I know there are a lot of new shooters that listen to the show and watch the videos, and a lot of young shooters, I would encourage you, okay, to save your pennies, consolidate your firearms. You've got 4 or 5 really inexpensive guns, and you don't shoot them all. They're just there. You thought it was cool at the time, and you found something for $125, and then you found something else for $200. Now you're looking for a defensive pistol, and so you're trying to find something for $200. Just something to think about. Possibly pool your resources, maybe sell a couple of things you don't need anymore. Go to eBay. If you have 5 or 6 guns lying around, old shotgun here, a couple old shotguns you picked up for nothing, or traded somebody a saw for, probably aren't going to shoot. Get your money out of that stuff. If you're going to buy a pistol, you want a quality pistol. That's mainly my topic here, pistols, handguns. Try to get together, if you can, $350, $400. You can buy a nice used gun for, once you get up into depends on where you live, but up into the $300, $400 range, you could buy a nice used revolver. Maybe even find a Glock, or something like a Glock. I always come back to Glock, I know, sorry about that. In that range. You find someone, an old, kind of a holster worn, can't wear out a Glock. You can hardly wear one out anyway, or any of the fine guns, a SIG. If you could find one, a used one, maybe it's scratched up some. Maybe it's very unattractive cosmetically. It's got a lot of scratches or something, but mechanically sound for $350, $400, $425. You have jumped into a category that is much, much more, I don't know, I won't say satisfactory, but desirable, put it that way, than buying a new $200 gun or a new $175 gun. Okay, it's just something to think about, because I think some people think they can't really afford anything beyond that $175, and maybe they can't. Now, if you absolutely are not going to be able to afford a $200-$300 gun even, you just can't. You have nothing to sell. You have no other firearms at all to consolidate. You are really living on the edge. Okay, that's a different story. Maybe you need to buy a $150 gun. You want a gun to defend the homestead there. Get whatever you can afford. Mainly addressing the people who think they can't afford a better gun and are attracted by that $175 gun. And I don't want to take business out of any gun company's pocket. I may review some of those guns, and they may shoot fine. I'm just saying, and you know what I'm saying, you generally, if you'll just have some patience and can put some more money together, just, another $100, another $150, and then look at the used gun market, you can get a really quality gun for a little more money, generally speaking. Okay? And again, I hope I don't come off elitist in that area, because firearm is nothing you want to save too much money on. You want to, if all you can get is one gun, I mean, bottom line, I'd rather have one really quality gun, well-made gun, than 6 or 7 junk guns. And, just something to think about. Okay? One thing I thought I might do in this crazy radio show is occasionally interview another YouTuber, perhaps. Somebody that's got, a lot of stuff going on, and just check in with them, see how it's going, and maybe they can share some of their history and plans and, just whatever they'd like to with my audience. Sure, we share a lot of the same audience in a lot of cases. So if it's a shooting or a gun-related channel, so we'll do that occasionally. And one local YouTuber here, whom many of you know, is 10 Outdoors 9. He and I happen to live in the same area, Middle Tennessee. We're about 50 miles apart, but he and I go back a ways. We worked together, actually, back in the early 80s. That's where I first got to know 10 Outdoors 9. And so I thought I might start with him. And, you've seen us collaborate on a couple of 3 videos, do some silly things. And I'm sure you've seen his videos. He does a lot of good stuff. So we're going to try to get a hold of that rascal. Been meaning to before now. And just have a chat with him and see what he's up to, and maybe this will be a venue where you can learn a little bit more about 10 Outdoors 9 and why he's so crazy, perhaps. Probably from hanging around me for so long, right? So anyway, we'll see if we can get a hold of 10 Outdoors 9. We'll just reach him by phone here if we can. So bear with me on that, and we'll just see if we can have a little chat with him. Okay, everybody, we've got, I think we have 10 Outdoors 9 on the line now, so we're going to have a little chat with him. I hope he appreciates the fact that he is the very first interview I have ever done on this radio show. So tell me, 10 Outdoors 9, are you excited about that?
One for one, I'd be insulted if I wasn't your first guest, and no, seriously, I would not be. Second, it feels like I'm sitting here in the big chair next to David Letterman. It really does.
Really?
It's just an honor, an absolute honor.
Well, I don't.
We talk on the phone with each other and email and so forth, and see each other in person to be on your radio show.
Well, I'm glad you're adequately impressed. You should be. Of course, I don't stay up that late.
Any sarcasm whatsoever.
That's right. That's right. This will be a dangerous broadcast with 2 guys who are maybe 2 of the most sarcastic people on the planet, right? So. Anyway, 10 Outdoors 9, one reason I wanted to have you on is so that people can learn a little bit more about you. They're probably learning more about me than they want to know. I blab for an hour every week on this crazy show, so wanted to get you on and ask you some questions, and because we have a lot of common viewers, of course, and subscribers, so maybe this will be a venue where they can maybe learn a little bit more about you, more than they want to know about you. So anyway, why don't you tell us, 10 Outdoors 9, a little bit about your history with firearms, how you got into firearms, and how long ago it was, how young you were when you started shooting, and that sort of thing.
As far as everybody had a BB gun. I had a BB gun when I was 10 years old. I think that was the Daisy 1894, the over-under. I'd like to get one of those in the real deal here sooner or later. But as far as really shooting, I don't know, probably the mid-'80s or so. I'm going to give away my age here in just a moment. But the mid-'80s, you may recall, I bought my first firearm on your front porch.
Oh, yes.
So, when we were working together, I was up at your house shooting quite a bit. I guess it was around 86, 87. That's before John was around. So, I was up there quite a bit at your house shooting, eating your food, and, you were just such a great host, just like you are in your videos. And we were up there one day, and there was, we had some other folks shooting with us, and I said, I just really want to buy a gun. I keep coming up here to your house, I'm shooting your ammo, eating your pizza, eating your grilled chicken, and you don't ask for anything in return. But one of the guys that was there shooting with us that day had, I think it was a Marlin 30-30 with a scope, and I wrote him a check for $150. It was a perfectly legal transaction, and I bought my first gun on the porch of your house, and it's taken off since then. I tend to favor 9mm. I'm doing some things now with 40s. I'm planning on buying a Colt 1911 in the next week or two. I'm excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
Viewers are as well. I'm not dropping my Glocks, but going to do some other things. So
That sounds good.
Really the last 20, 25 years is when I've really started getting into guns, but more so the last 8 to 10 years, where I've just really basically have a line item budget for it. That's kind of scary, isn't it?
That is. Well, you got a budget for them because they can be expensive. I guess the listeners probably think I set you up for that, and I was knowing exactly what you would say. And I guess I remembered that, but I sort of had forgotten. I was thinking, and one reason, I was thinking you had a Remington 870 or a shotgun or something you had hunted with or talked about. I guess I was thinking of somebody else, but now that you tell me that, I do remember that you bought that gun. I remember who you bought it from, and I sure do now that you say that. But I just was kind of vague on that. That's pretty interesting. That is kind of a coincidence, isn't it? That you bought your first gun.
I don't think I have ever bought a gun from you. Again, a legal transaction, person to person. I don't think you and I have ever done that, but it's come close. You had a 9mm CZ75 or something like that. Again, this is back in the late 80s.
Sure did.
You sold that to a gun shop in North Nashville, and you told me where you sold it. And I said, I really wanted to buy that gun. So I went to the shop, I think a day or so later, and then bought the gun. So I did own a gun that you had owned, but it went through a dealer before we did that.
I remember that. I sure do.
So it just shows you what a horrible influence you've been on my life.
Well, I have corrupted a lot of people. A lot of the relatives in my family, the in-laws and outlaws, various folks, they come visit one time and take a couple of shots. And, of course, you and I both know how it is. Once you shoot a gun, I mean, the only people who don't like shooting and don't enjoy shooting are generally the people who have never shot before. Because once you try it, you just can't resist it. It's just too much fun. But, I remember those early days when we worked together and you came out and we would shoot. A couple other folks there we worked with. We had a lot of fun those days. Hadn't been out here that long at the time, and we really poured out the lead. Had a lot of good times. But and of course we both had different. I think we both changed jobs about 4 or 5 times, or companies, at least since then. And both of us have traveled from time to time and lost contact a little bit there over the years for short periods of time, But anyway, we find ourselves kind of involved in a similar endeavor now, don't we? Putting up videos and enjoying our hobby and sharing with other folks. What about the videos now? What do you have any favorite videos that you enjoy doing more than others? Can you speak to that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I first got on YouTube in 2008. Just opened my YouTube account. I'm a big freak for music videos and for other people's shooting videos, for that matter. And I opened a YouTube account in 2008 for the sole purpose of being able to, to comment, provide feedback on videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you called me around this time, 2009? Yeah, 2 years ago, 2009. Said, hey, I put up this crazy video of me shooting a buffalo with, a revolver, and it's on YouTube. And I said, well, that's, I'm thinking if Hickok can do it, he's an expert marksman, but he has horrible photography skills. So if he can do it, then I can do it. So I guess about 4 months later, I just started actually putting up old videos I had on my camera. 2 of those, you were in them. Just unedited stuff, just random stuff you and I were doing in the woods. Those were fun, but it has gotten more complicated. I started doing ammo tests, and then I said, I don't have a lot of firearms in my collection. And I got a lot of one of those is the G19. I have 4 of those. So I just started doing gun reviews. And, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say what a favorite is. You have a concept for a video, and you put it up there, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to do really well, I'm really going to enjoy it. Then once you get up there, it's like, okay, it's no big deal. Then you move on to the next one. That's kind of a fear, I guess, is that I get repetitious, and I just don't always want to make sure there's creativity. Again, to answer your question, I can't think of a favorite. I really can't. I like all of them. There's some earlier videos that I go back and look at my speaking mannerisms and camera angles and things like that, and I just want to delete that. But leave it up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's always about improvement, being creative.
That's part of the evolution of it, really. Yeah, I guess what I really meant was videos that you have the most fun doing. Is there a video or a type of video? Because I know you do, of course, we all do a lot of variety, but you do something I don't really do much of in any kind of scientific manner. You do a lot of ammo tests, too. And then, of course, you do regular shooting videos and you do some creative things. Is there a video that you enjoy the actual process doing more than others?
Okay, all right, yeah. It would have been the Santa Claus video that went up in December of last year. It's one of those things where you write down a concept of what you want to do, how you want to do it. I travel a lot on business, so it's a matter of finding time to do these things. And, yeah, that was something I took a sheet of paper and wrote down about 25 or 30 different scenes. I mean, I get that detailed with it. Wrote them down, and then it took me 2 weekends to do it. So I could do some things in the backyard, but then I have to drive an hour down the road to get to my family property where I film most of the videos. So it's just, fun to get out and do that, just get out of the house and drive out to the country, at least to another part of the country. I live in the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was a lot of fun because I invested in a Santa Claus suit, and I'm walking out of Party City thinking, this is nuts. A lot of people are buying a Santa Claus suit to go to a costume party or, to be in a Santa production or something. I'm going to film a shooting video of this thing. And that was a lot of fun, and of course I was off in the woods where nobody could see me, but, from the highway or anything. But it was a lot of fun just traipsing around the woods. Normally I'm wearing a ghillie suit or, casual clothes, or even a suit for that matter. But to wear a Santa Claus suit on 2 consecutive weekends while making a video, that was really a lot of fun. And then once I knew I had that last scene, and I started editing and putting it together, and I showed it to my daughter. I said, look, I think I might be taking a chance on posting this. What do you think? She loved it. I said, okay, it's going to go. So,
that's great.
Yeah, that had to be the one.
Yeah. That was really creative.
A lot of people don't do that. It's just a little bit out of the norm.
Well, yeah, a lot of people don't do the kinds of things we do, but that really was creative. That was a great video. And, you might have been out in the woods running around where no one could see you, but I think they can see you now, so it's not a secret. But that was a great costume too. We were out hunting here for a zombie we thought was on the property. Not long after that, I guess that was in I don't know, around. It was in December sometime. I lose track. We do so many videos, but we had to shoot Santa Claus that had been bitten by a zombie, and we didn't want to do it, but he really looked a lot like you did in that video. I guess that was just a coincidence.
I'm pretty sure it was a 100% coincidence, and that's it. Nothing more than that.
Yeah, had to be. Well, what is the hardest video for you to do? What's really the biggest challenge? That type of video, the creative editing and all that work you did on that one?
The ammo test can be challenging because I try to be precise with those. But I guess it's the montage, and just because of the technical nature, whether or not you're taking oath footage. I know John does a lot of that, where you're taking oath footage that you've archived. When I post a montage, I obviously throw a lot of old things in there, but I try to throw a lot of new as well. So, a lot of the established viewers and subscribers are getting something new for their time, for their investment, and coming to the channel in the first place. Those are difficult because when you're throwing, and John knows this, and a lot of people who edit these types of videos, when you throw together 40, 50, 60 segments, you're going through and taking the time to say, okay, I just need 4 seconds from this one, or 3 seconds from this one. Then you relabel them and do all that. That is the toughest part. And then you think about what sequence does this one go in. And once you got to be in a mood. And you say a lot to your viewers, I've got to be in the mood to film with this particular gun, or to do this particular skit, or whatever it might be. And those are the most challenging.
Yeah, I understand that. It's a labor of love, though, isn't it? It really is. Well, what are your plans for future videos, or do you want to talk about that at all? You got any plans you'd like to let the listeners know about?
I'm really trying to branch out. I've been pretty much a globber Glock channel, Mossberg, and AR-15s, things like that. This year, I really want to expand that somewhat, and I think I'm off to a fairly decent start. I added a Versa 380 of all things to my collection recently. I'll be doing some ammo tests with that throughout the year. Within the past week, I posted a video of the 30 caliber N1 carbine. It doesn't mean I'm going to be getting into surplus guns, but that's one that I've had on my list for over 20 years, and I think I found a really good deal on it. So that one's up there. I recently posted a video with the Glock 19, which is my EDC gun and my favorite gun for now, and dual wielding, where you're shooting 2 Glocks or 2 handguns simultaneously. I took kind of a comical sketch on that, a little bit of humor. It's a short video, less than 2 minutes. That went up. As of today, I've been in Vegas all week, and on business travel. Seriously, Vegas on business travel. It doesn't work, does it?
No, you got any money left?
Yeah, it was a sales meeting, and I came home to find out that my delivery of SimTest ballistic testing media has arrived. 120 pounds of that stuff. So similar to ballistic gel, and maybe before you get this segment of your radio show posted, maybe not. I plan on posting a video on that. I've been using Webpack for about a year and a half now. I'm going to try to graduate myself to the next level.
All right.
I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about this stuff. I think it's going to be makes for some great videos. How many ballistic testing videos with ballistic gel do you see on YouTube?
Yeah, that's not much. I think, it's nice, and we can deliver something that the other people are really just not doing, and do it well. So that's great. I may send you some ammo over to test.
Okay. The only other, of course, more of the same. I'm looking to get a Colt 45 here in the very near future and doing some things with that, with 100-year anniversary, and everybody's putting up videos for that, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
Kind of a concept that got started, that Santa Claus video. Santa Claus supports the Second Amendment. I have a list of 3 or 4, at least for now, 3 or 4 other characters that are going to be part of a series of, I'm not going to give them away, but I got one coming up here probably in a month or 2 that I want to do. I'm not going to do them all at once, spread them out through the year, but just think of some of the characters, like the Easter Bunny. That's not one of them, by the way, but just think of the different characters that are out there. And, I'm kind of doing this as sarcasm. You and I talk a lot about the Second Amendment, right? And things like that, in addition to videos. And you look at the Supreme Court, and we have at least 4 justices who don't seem to get it with regard to the Supreme Court. So I'm kind of doing kind of a poke at that. That says, here are some characters like Santa Claus and some others that are shooting firearms. They support the Second Amendment. They're doing it in a safe way. So I plan on doing a lot more of that type of thing, with montages and, kind of taking a poke at some of the things we have to deal with and fight for on a daily basis.
That sounds good. That sounds entertaining, and there's a little message there too. Sounds great, because I think one of the most valuable things we can do, and I think both of us do that, and as well as a lot of other YouTubers, is to demonstrate support for the Second Amendment and the responsible use of firearms. There are a few who don't, perhaps, on YouTube, but I think that most of us do a pretty good job of that. And of course, we're fostering the growth and the interest in firearms. So I hope that we can continue to do that. I get a lot of email messages, support from younger shooters and new shooters, as I know you do. So hopefully we're doing something worthwhile as we enjoy the game. So what else? I guess we better wrap this up and move on. And I hope you will come back and chat with me later at some point. Will you do that?
Yeah, if you, as always, when we get together, we have pizza. So if you send me at least a coupon or something for this conversation, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll do that. And maybe the next time you can come to the reloading room and we'll sit here and have pizza while we chat. How's that?
I look forward to that.
All right. Well, 10 Outdoors and I, it's been fun to have you online here. It's been especially good to have you via telephone, so I didn't have to look at your funny face. So the viewers will probably appreciate the radio shows for that, because they don't have to look at us. They can just listen to us. Who knows? We might say something halfway intelligent, and they want to look at our faces. But anyway, we'll, I guess, sign off for now, and you take care, man.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So anyway, that's 10 Outdoors 9. Hope you enjoyed that. And many of you I know watch 10 Outdoors 9's videos. Maybe you learned a little bit more about him and his history and which is intertwined with my history, of course, as we used to work together, as I mentioned. And I had forgotten he bought his first gun at my place from another fellow we used to shoot with. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and hope you get over and see his videos. If you have not, he does a lot of interesting things, some really good ammo tests, is real AR-15 aficionado and Glock 19 aficionado, branching out into other firearms as he continues his shooting endeavors. So you'll see a lot of new things from him. He's a very creative guy, has a lot of fun doing what he does, just as we do. So I am a subscriber. I subscribe to him. He has been a friend for a long time, so he's one of the folks I subscribe to, as you might have seen on my homepage. So take a look there if you need an easy way to get to him. And well, I don't know how many of these interviews we'll do. This is just kind of an interesting thing to do. Not trying to unseat Tom Gresham or something. If you've seen or heard Tom Gresham, who does Gun Talk TV, the radio show, I listen to him just about every week. So I'm not really a Tom Gresham wannabe or anything. I'm just kind of having fun doing whatever I want to do. And hope you enjoyed that. So glad I could bring you another crazy shooter, 10 Outdoors 9. I promised you a funny story, didn't I? Well, you can decide whether it's funny or not, I guess. It's very funny to me, humorous, amusing, I guess you'd say. All right, let me try to keep it brief. Told you I had a 375 H&H Magnum at one point, the African hunting rifle. Really powerful, very fast, launches a 200-grain bullet out there really fast, 2,500 feet per second, 3,000, I forgot what it was, but really popular African hunting round. Suitable for about anything on the planet. Not ideal, but would work. And, I just had to have one to play with. So, John was, I think, I don't know, five-ish maybe, age-wise, when I got that thing. And, of course, he was fascinated with guns. I told him this was just like the 458. This was an African hunting, rifle caliber and shoot through this and that. And we would experiment on logs and different things. It was amazing what it would do. We were riding along one day. He was in school where I taught at the time, teach, and kindergarten, pre-K 5. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, a little guy, young, and they ask questions, and we're riding along in a car home from school, I guess, and he pops up. We just recently bought this gun and was experimenting with it. He pops up with a question: Daddy, would a 375 H&H shoot through a road sign? Because we live in the country and we see the holes in road signs, so that was on his mind. He said, Daddy, will that shoot through a road sign? My answer to John is shoot through 20 road signs, with ease. And, just the typical conversation you have with little guys when they're 5 years old, the questions they ask and all that. Well, it must have been a week later, maybe, I don't know. Of course, that, hadn't even thought about that little conversation. They go on a field trip somewhere in their little pre-K or kindergarten class, and I know his teachers and some other teachers' assistants and different people around there, and I think it was a teacher's assistant maybe at the time that was with them on the field trip, and I guess that after the field trip, it was a couple of days later that in the building where I teach, I ran into her, and she was just, remarking about John, how she enjoyed the field trip. They went on a field trip together. She said she had sat by my son on the trip, on the bus or van. I thought, that's neat. I said, did he behave? And he said, oh yeah. He was telling me how you have a gun that'll shoot through 20 road signs. And I thought, oh, great. Oh, great. Here's this little gal that probably hadn't even fired a gun, and who knows what her opinion and perspective is on firearms anyway. And my son is telling her, he said, in fact, she said, yeah, my daddy has a gun. He said it'll shoot through 20 road signs, So you can imagine how, depending on how a little 5-year-old related that story to her, and how little 5-year-olds do, they'll just pop up with some piece of information like it's most important thing, just out of the blue, randomly at times. And, you know, my daddy has a rifle that will shoot through 20 road signs. I mean, I can just see that happening. I mean, I wish I had a video of that event in her eyes. And more so than that, what must have went through her, what must have gone through her mind when he said that. You know, my thinking is she probably thinking, yeah, that's right. I know his father. Yeah, I think he's a shooter, gun nut. Yeah, she probably had this vision of me riding down country roads, shooting through road signs, you know, rifle hanging out the window with my son along, you know. So anyway, you can imagine, out of the mouths of babes, that's one of my favorite stories about John, and the little character pops up with that, and then just the image that had to have created in her mind. And of course, I'm glad she mentioned that, because I was able to kind of set her straight and let her know that I don't ride around the country shooting at road signs. So that's just one of the funniest things to me. So I guess because it involves me and John and behavior that would not be appropriate. Do not shoot road signs. Okay. On the topic of guns I've owned, I've mentioned that I had a Browning High Power before and a CZ75. I just haven't gotten around to talking about them. And I don't have a lot to say about them. I guess it's the fact that they're very popular firearms still today, and I get a lot of questions about them. So I thought I'd at least just briefly mention that I did have a Browning High Power. I bought that thing back in the 80s, I guess, and enjoyed it. It was, you know, before it was pre-Glock, really, and I enjoyed that gun. It was one of the early, if not the only early high-capacity 9mm pistol. I think it held 13, maybe, in the magazine, and it feels like a dream. If you've ever held a Browning High Power, and I think there are a lot of clones of them and various companies maybe that make them. I don't keep up with them that much, but they fit your hand just beautifully. Imagine that. You know who designed it, right? What was his name? John Black? No, Brown. Yeah, Browning. John Browning, yes. So John Browning has a little experience developing firearms. And some people consider that his crowning achievement in terms of pistols. It was supposedly kind of an improvement over the 1911 in design, you know, if that's possible. But it is a nice gun, really, really well designed, and it was reliable, felt good, you know. And I tell you, the same story of that is with the SIGs and the Berettas and some of those guns. I had all those guns around the same period of time. I guess that was mid-'80s, early 80s, and into the mid-'80s. And as I got into competition and shooting IPSC and some things, I was really looking for the best guns to do that with, that play that game with. And the Browning High Power, I remember the one thing I did not like about it was the safety. It was very stiff. Very stiff. It took almost 2 thumbs to flip it off, and that was no good. Of course, in the game I was getting into there, and then there was the power factors, and so I was going to be competing with 45 most of the time, and so I just traded it for something. I don't know. You know how we all do. And that's kind of where that went. But great gun, felt good. I remember that was a significant. That was one of my very favorite pistols. That was the pistol at the time. Okay, that and I guess my Series 70 1911 that I had. Those are my 2 favorite handguns and pistols. Period. Other than my Model 29, my big revolvers and things. And then the CZ75 I had. I kind of wanted. I was participating in a club down in Lewisburg, Tennessee, where you shot all year long in matches. It was not even a IPSC affiliate, but it was the same type of thing. And that's really where I got into that kind of competition. It was in mid to 86, 87, out along in there. And if you shot all year, you qualified for a gun at the end of the year. It was a pretty neat little setup. The entry fees were a little bit higher on each match, but if you came to every match and you shot every match, then however you finished and the scores for the whole year, you that determined what pick you had, you know, first, second, third, fourth, 20th, you know, the price table. And everybody won, quote unquote, a gun. So it's just a matter of when you went to the table and what kind of gun you got. And I didn't win. That was my first few, year or two in doing competition. But I don't even remember how I finished. It was pretty respectable. And I was able to pick a CZ75. Never had one, never shot it, and liked the gun pretty well. Again, it felt great in the hand. Kind of a big, heavy gun for a 9mm, but felt really, really good. And as you heard 10 Outdoors 9, in fact, in this broadcast, talk about, when I did finally sell that or trade it for something, he ended up buying it. I didn't realize he was that taken with it, and he ended up with it for a while, and then I think obviously he traded it off for something. So anyway, we all go through that and go through firearms as we trade and buy and sell. So the CZ75, a great shooter and fit the hand beautifully. So I have nothing negative really to say about either one of those guns. Great guns. What can I say? Then why don't you still have them, Hickok? Well, you know how that goes. Each one of you look at all the guns you've had, many of you at least, except for you new people, and you could make a list probably pretty long of the guns you wish you had not traded, perhaps. So anyway, thought I'd just mention those two. All right, boys and girls, it's time for the firearms action of the week. Yes, and I guess you'd like to know what it was last week that I was fondling and cocking the hammer on, pulling the trigger. Yes, many of you were correct. You identified those 4 classic clicks that spell C-O-L-T, Colt. Yes, that was a Colt single action Army. You got it. Now some of you though are not very gun wise because you couldn't tell from the sound of that what finish it had, whether it was nickel or blue. I'm a little surprised at you. Many of you couldn't determine what the barrel length was either from the evidence. So I guess you just really don't know a lot about guns, do you? Ha ha ha, wasn't that funny? Actually, it was the Colt Single Action Army and 45 Colt caliber. So congratulations to those of you who got it. I'll try to do a little more handling of the guns. I know this is really tough. I'll manipulate. If it's an automatic, I'll put magazines in and out, release, work the slides. I'll just do as many different things as I can that make noise with the firearm. Maybe in the future, if it's a single action Colt or something, or even a double action, I'll take the cylinder out or off. Or anyway, I'll do everything I can to make the sounds to help out, because I know this is tough when all you do is hear it. So, Colt Single Action Army last week. This week, let's see what we have. We're working with it. We are working with it. I'm still here. Can you hear it? Okay, I'm manipulating something here. Okay, that was this week. See if you can figure out what that rascal is. It is a firearm. I'll give you that much of a hint. So, good luck, and place your guesses in the comment section. In the underseen video segment this week, and that is videos that we feel maybe you are not aware of or have just not been viewed by many of you, especially new people, and you might want to know about. I really didn't dig down for some obscure title this week as I did last week with the Edgar Allan Poe video. I just wanted to remind you of the trilogy, the Rapid Fire Trilogy that John put together over a period of months, I guess over the last year or two. There are 3 of those. I have a playlist. I think it's called the Rapid Fire Trilogy. I would encourage you, if you have not seen all 3 of those, to go back definitely starting with number 1, then 2, then 3. I think you will enjoy those, and bear in mind that all the clips used in those are from other videos that are there as well. And so that's my first suggestion, is make sure you have seen all the rapid fire videos. And then that might also remind you of some videos you probably have not seen. And just go to the playlist, click on playlists and, look them over. I got most of them in playlists and special targets and things like that. You might be surprised what you find in there. So by all means, you are not an official Hickok45 subscriber if you have not seen all 3 of the rapid fire videos. That's for sure. You don't know what you're missing there. John does a great job with those. And I guess we'll just wrap it up for the week. So glad you could drop in, and as usual, I didn't keep it as brief as I'd meant to. And I'll blame it on 10 Outdoors 9 this week. How's that? So remember to exaggerate safety. Try to be a positive influence for the firearms community. It's very, very, very important. And keep your foot on Congress, because you know how they are. As Mark Twain said, no man's life, liberty, or property is safe while Congress is in session. And man, do we know that. We certainly know that. So y'all have a great weekend and a great week, because as usual, life really is good.
You've been listening to the Hickok 45 radio show. See you on the range.